if they're getting better, we are going to go ahead, maintain that coronal abduction of 90 degrees and elbow extension, and do 20 repetitions of wrist flexion. And while we were resting, let's continue with our nerve gliding exercise demonstration. And now we are going to be performing a nerve gliding exercise to help focus on releasing tension in the radial nerve. A few days ago, I showed you guys how to perform the upper limb tension test. And this is going to be a modified version of upper limb tension test number 3. We are going to take the test and turn it into an exercise. With regard to upper limb tension test number 3, I showed you guys how to perform the all-out upper limb tension test number 3, and then I showed you guys a simplified version. This is going to be the variation of the simplified test. What we want to do is you're going to start in this waiter position. So you want your elbow flexed and you want your wrist extended. We're going to get into a supine position, and then while maintaining that waiter's position, what we want to do is first we want to gradually build tension along the nerve. We are going to start by going into coronal abduction to 90 degrees. Abduction away from the midline. You want to do 3 to 5 repetitions while maintaining the elbow flexion and wrist extension. And then ask yourself, are my symptoms getting better, worse, or staying the same? If your symptoms are getting worse or staying the same, stop immediately. There's no need to continue. We don't want to exacerbate your symptoms. However, if your symptoms are getting better, we would go ahead and perform 20 repetitions. Let's say you go and you do the abduction and you don't notice a reproduction of your symptoms. What we would want to do from here is we would want to go into more tension along the nerve. So from that abduction, we would go ahead, keep the abduction, and add elbow extension. Do 3 to 5 repetitions. And then ask yourself, are my symptoms getting better, worse, or staying the same? If your symptoms are getting worse or staying the same, stop immediately. We don't want to exacerbate your symptoms. There's no need to continue. However, if your symptoms are getting better, we would go ahead and perform 20 repetitions. So we're going to maintain that shoulder abduction in the coronal plane of 90 degrees, and then 20 repetitions of elbow extension while maintaining that wrist extension. Let's say you perform coronal abduction to 90, wrist extension, or elbow extension, and you still don't notice a reproduction of your symptoms. We're going to add one more step now to build tension along the nerve, and that is going to be wrist flexion. So you're going to do 3 to 5 repetitions of wrist flexion while maintaining the coronal abduction to 90 and elbow extension, and then ask yourself, are my symptoms getting better, worse, or staying the same? If your symptoms are getting worse or staying the same, stop immediately. No reason to continue. We don't want to exacerbate your symptoms. However, if they're getting better, we are going to go ahead, maintain that coronal abduction of 90 degrees and elbow extension, and do 20 repetitions of wrist flexion. And that is how we would take the modified version of upper limb tension test number 3 and turn it into a nerve gliding exercise. During the next rest period, I'm going to be showing you guys a nerve gliding exercise to address the ulnar nerve, which is going to be a modification of upper limb tension test number 4. But for right now, our rest period is up. It is time for set number 6. That was just a tiny taste of what can be found in my members only section. If you enjoyed it, become a member for only $5 a month to get access to hundreds of member only videos.